things about my mother from my dad. How wrong was I? He wasn't a father. He wasn't even fatherly. A couple of years after my mother's death, he abused me terribly. He would use a stick and bang it against my back. My mother had this piercing laugh that was warm and full of love. As I matured, I possessed this laugh. I would watch a comedy and laugh. And he would bang his baseball bat against my head, and if he hit my head, he wouldn't care. He would just yell, "Don't you dare make that hideous noise again!" His eyes would be like daggers, sharp, direct, cold. He held this grudge against me. How was I supposed to know? Sometimes, for no specific reason at all, he'd slap me across the face. It was so simple, so quick, and it all hurt so badly. And I just lie there, clutching at it, trying to comfort it. It was so hard, tormenting. Every time I touched it, it would burn like fire and scream and yell a story of pain and despair. And I'd just lie there, resisting the screams I had inside. Scream to the devil! And you want to know the worst part? He would never let me help it. I could never just get some ice. Instead, he'd slap me again. And if I asked for water to drink, he would assume I was trying to cool my cheeks. So, he'd slap me again. It was on November 26th that it started to get really out of control. I often stayed at school until the sun set. Anywhere was better than home, if it was ever called that. After I returned home that night, my father didn't take any notice of me, which was weird because usually he'd come next to me and, well, slap me. He did nothing that night until 2 a.m. He came in and said revolting words. He called me a failure, a stupid woman. But I was no woman. I was 15, a small girl. He started to yell about how I was obsessed with my daughter. But I had no daughter. Then he started to ramble about how I was fighting with other men at work and everything. That's when I realized he wasn't referring to me, but to my mother. And I just sat there, holding back tears. I saw a side of my father that night that I hadn't seen in a very long time. True anger. Real anger. And for a moment, I felt a little sorry for him. He cried, and I just sat there shivering and crying and trying not to make any noise. He came up to me and started to stroke my hair. And for a moment, I thought he cared. He whispered, "It's all going to be all right." Then I trusted him. A fatherly side in him came out. His compassion was evident through his movements. So, slowly, I opened my eyes. He looked so serene, almost like the father I never had. But after a second, his face turned and twisted. Then he punched me. First in the face, then in the stomach. I looked into the mirror opposite my bed. I stared right down in my face and into my eyes. I never realized it before, but I look a lot like my mother. And then he raped me.